Good day and welcome everyone to the Dr. Sophia Rothschild show. And today I want to talk about our conversation on what are some of the contributions of European civilizations. Okay, this one is something that's I find very important to me that has been in much extent forgotten um, as the world try to um, engage in not talking about European civilization and culture, but there's a lot that the European civilization has given to the world, and that I think we should be very grateful for. For example, the Vikings navigated the high seas. Now that they came with a system of the disposal of their waste and bathing while on the high sea. Well, I digress. The Vikings came up with a system of not only navigating the high seas, but also a way of responsibly getting rid of their waste on the high seas. They have a system of also a system in which they practice great hygiene while ashore. Okay. For example, the Vikings navigated by relying on the deep understanding of nature, memory, and celestial bodies. Instead of maps, they will use the sun and the stars for navigation, measuring altitude by holding the sun at certain specific heights and observe animals and bird migrations. For example, they use the North Star, Polaris at night, and the position of the sun during the day by maintaining a specific predetermined altitude to do so. They had something called the sun compass and the sunstones. Wooden sun compass, like the one that was evacuated in Greenland, have them uh, determine direction by tracking shadows. On the cloudy days, they would use a sunstone, such as a cal- calcite crystal called Iceland spar, to locate the sun through polarized light, and also wildlife tracking. And the Vikings also give us many other things. The idea of the name Bluetooth um, was is the name was it came from the name of a leader in Denmark. Okay, one of those places. The Denmark, Danes. Okay, um, we can talk about the Celts and their artistic work. We can talk about Stone Age and its brilliance in construction. We can talk about the Romans and their um, aqueducts that bring water on a large scale to cities. We can talk about the Roman bathhouses, which um, dispel the nonsense that Europeans never used to bathe. That's funny. But yes, the Romans had bathhouses and saunas, and the buildings were kept warm in cold times by having the way they had beneath the building. They had those huge pots, the huge containers that were boiled that derived steam, and the steam used to heat the house. We talk about ancient Greece. And ancient Greeks gave us the idea of democracy and the Sparta warriors and philosophy and the Odyssey and all the great philosophers and mathematical minds and of ancient Greece, and also the Roman Senate concept, which we are familiar with today. Magna Carta became more brought from the British, and we also have the Industrial Revolution, when modern society, all of the plastics and all the ways of making paper and satellites and Starlink and rockets and the Pioneer spaceship that's still going on. So that's now past the solar system. We also have modern methodology of closing and modern so, the Silicon Valley and the ideas of the smartphone and the cell phones and the laptop and the iPod and the iMac and all those beautiful things and electrical, you guessed it, electrical power. We see in the worldwide scale, people can now flick a switch and there we have light. Thanks to people like Nikola Tesla and his many inventions. And Tesla was originally from Serbia, but he came to the United States and became naturalized citizen. We also have the many great things such as modern airplanes and metal ships and global navigation and global uh, um, trade on a worldwide level with the use of massive container ships, right? We also have the idea of the nuclear bomb and the hydrogen bomb and rockets and laser and so much to be thankful for Western civilization has given us. The U.S. Constitution is a product of Western civilization, a product of um, human civilization. Um, And yes, at first there were slavery, but it was the British that outlawed slavery, and the British used to have ships that goes up and down the coast of West Africa to make sure to put a stop to slavery. Okay, so no, Europe is not perfect. Europe is not perfect, but they've given a lot to be thankful for. Imagine if all this stuff didn't exist. We've been up our ends in nonsense. We talk about the Renaissance with its um, rational thought and rational thinking and the alignment. We talk about even in the Middle Ages, there were great cathedrals and great construction and its brilliance. And we can talk about the great concepts and ideas that we see, these great libraries and the Oxford and the Cambridge and the Harvards and the Yales and Stanford and St. Hilda Catherine University and all these St. Andrews and all these great institutions of learning and all the gossip that we West European civilization have given the world. And we can talk about the idea of um, uh, new methodologies of hygiene. Now, there are those who talk about ancient Egypt. Well, ancient Egypt was quite a remarkable civilization, and they were probably asking people that also lived there. However, based on the DNA evidence, as reported in many journal, Nature, Journal of Science, and many science journals, the ancient Egyptians, the further back you go, went, were similar to those from the Levant peoples. They were not sub-Saharan West African. I repeat, based on the DNA evidence and based on the archaeological evidence, as reported in many science journals, major science journals, archaeological journals, and historical journals, ancient Egyptian civilization genetically were more consistent with people from the Levant. Okay, they were not from sub-Saharan West Africa. Now, over the years, because of slavery, a number of probably West Africans were probably uh, interacted with European men, and they did we gave children, and they have people with some semblance of um, Egyptian DNA that were not from Europe or Levant, but for the most part, the ancient Egyptian civilization, the DNA structure of the people there were more consistent with that from the Levant. Also, the idea from that the Moors brought gossip of being into Europe. It's also nonsense because we know, as previously stated, the Greeks and the Romans and the Etruscans all had aqueduct with running water, bathhouses, and all these other remarkable concepts long before the Moors. And incidentally, also, I think in the major science journals, yes, the Moors were a mixed group. There's some African in it, but the fact of the matter is, for the most part, the Moors were Muslims from North Africa, such as also the Berbers, the uh, Morocco, and all the Algeria and all those areas in North Africa. The Moors are mainly, based on the DNA evidence, a North African people. With some people who are from other parts of the world, other parts of places, but for the most part, the majority of Moors were North Africans, and that's based on also the DNA. They were not from sub-Saharan West Africa. It's a totally different group. Okay, we can talk about ideas of skyscrapers and a beautiful museum and classical music, Beethoven, Bach, Mozart. That will enrich humanity. So we Europeans have given much of the world. We're not perfect, but please embrace it. Thank you.